Hello everybody and welcome back to Carried Away Travels. In this week's video, I want to talk to you about 8 important things you need to know before you take a Carnival cruise. So I actually just took my first ever Carnival cruise to the Bahamas back in February of 2025, and I have to say there was a lot that was just not at all what I expected. Well, there was a decent bit of stuff that was like right in line with what I thought it would be. There was some other stuff that just really took me by surprise, some good, some bad. And so today I just wanted to share those things with you. If you are going on your first Carnival cruise, you may also have kind of an off idea of what it's actually like being on this ship, whether it's for 3 days or for a full week like me. And so today I want to share those 8 things that you really should know before you get on board so you have realistic expectations going into your cruise. By the way, this is going to be more of an overview video of those things, but if you are interested in a full breakdown of our cruise, we went on the newly refurbished Carnival Sunshine, which leaves out of Norfolk, and I have a 2-part review that goes over everything that ship had to offer, from the food and the staterooms to the onboard activities and spa treatments and everything. So obviously every ship is a little bit different, but there are certain elements that ships have in common. And so if you want a deeper dive into what you can expect on a Carnival cruise as far as entertainment and food and all that good stuff, I would definitely encourage you to check out those videos. You can find them in my Bahamas playlist, but I'll also link them in the caption down below. And one last thing before we get started, if this is your first time here, I'm Carrie, and I share helpful travel tips, itineraries, gear recommendations, and more so you can always have a perfect trip. My goal with every video is to educate and inform you about all the aspects of a hotel or an activity so you can decide if it's the best fit for you and then have just a flawless trip. So if that sounds like the kind of videos you want more of in your feed, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you get all my videos in the future. So the first thing that kind of caught me off guard is that Carnival isn't really a non-stop party. I'd always heard of Carnival Cruise as being the party line and, you know, it's just a lot of dancing and whatever. That was not the case for us. I don't know if it used to be that back in the day, but this was a very family-friendly environment. And while there were parties, they were limited to like 15 minutes to an hour in designated parts of the ship and designated points of each day. So it really wasn't like a non-stop party. Like there was tons of fun stuff going on, but in our experience, like I said, those parties were really limited to like 15 minutes in the Sunshine Atrium, where they would follow one of the musical shows that they'd have in the evenings, or they'd be like a 1-hour party up on the Lido deck where the cruise director would lead everyone in like coordinated dances like the Cupid Shuffle and the Wobble and things like that. So it was very organized. It wasn't crazy at all. And then they had a couple late night music hours where they would have a DJ in the Limelight Lounge and people could come in and either just enjoy the music or dance. But even in that space, there was only room for maybe 20 to 30 people to dance at a time. So it wasn't like this crazy all-night party or anything like that, even in that case. But while the Carnival Cruise may not be a non-stop party, there is something happening pretty much every minute of every single day. Like from 8 a.m. to midnight and beyond, they have an itinerary with stuff going on for whatever your interest might be. Now, this is something I have a lot more information about in my Carnival Cruise Review Part 2, but there are just so many different activities you can choose from, and they rotate through them every day. So there will be some similar activities every day. Like there was a couple different trivia contests every single day, but it would be a different topic. Or there would be bingo several different days. There were a couple art auctions, things like that. But other stuff was just one-off, and so you might only have one chance to catch it, and so it can be a lot to try and fit everything into your day, which is why we really liked the Carnival Cruise app. Every single day there is a full breakdown of all the stuff that's happening, and you can save all the activities that you're interested in, and then it will create a separate timeline of your favorites when they are, where they're at, and it'll even send you reminders. So if you're busy chilling by the pool or doing the ropes course or whatever, you can get an alert like, oh, hey, this trivia I wanted to go to is in 15 minutes. And that was very, very helpful. They also delivered a brochure with a breakdown of like everything that was happening every single day to our room the night before. As you can see, it is absolutely loaded with information. So you can go through that as well if you're more of a hard copy person. So you will never be bored unless you want to. There's just so much for so many different interests, and I think you can fill up every single day with just a ton of really fun things to do. The next thing that I wasn't really expecting is that a Carnival cruise is kind of like being on a floating all-inclusive resort. Like, I knew when I paid that I was paying for a week of food, accommodation, and transportation, and I felt like I got a really good deal on that, and I liked that that was all taken care of up front. But I didn't realize that I was going to have like 13 different restaurants to choose from. Not all of them are in the all-inclusive, but like most of those are. At least at some point of the day, you can just pick one of those restaurants and go grab food. Even if it's like 11 p.m. and you want a pizza, you can go and do that for free. That's crazy to me, but I'll take it. And then on top of that, like the fact that there's just so much entertainment that's included. I did not understand how much entertainment was going to be included in this as well, just from the shows to the competitions, all these different things that I could do for free. I knew that there were some other activities I could do besides the pool, which I'll dive into in a couple minutes here, but I just did not understand how much was included with that upfront price. And the staff really treats you like an all-inclusive experience too. Like, they are so friendly. They are always checking in, like they are there to help you, and it does really make you feel kind of like a VIP the whole time you're there. Even though you're with like thousands of other people, they have enough staff that really makes you feel like you get some personal attention. Something I mentioned in my part 1 review, I believe, is I really liked that we had a dedicated stateroom attendant. And like, he knew who we were, and he would check in with us if he saw us in the halls, make sure our room was good to go. And we had a specific server for our dinners every night, and he had our names memorized. By the second night, we had a party of 4. He knew who we were. If he saw us throughout the day, he would smile and wave. He knew what our allergies were. Like, the level of service was also just a step up. And it did make it very easy to feel like we were being pampered and that everything was just taken care of for us and we didn't have to worry about a thing. I also didn't realize how much there was going to be to do besides sit by the pool. Obviously, that sounded fun and relaxing, and I already touched on the shows, but I'm not talking about like the shows. I'm talking about the extra amenities. Now, every Carnival cruise ship is a little bit different, so depending on which one you're going on, you'll need to check what they offer. But ours had a mini golf course, a water park, a ropes course, a spa, a basketball court, ping pong, billiards, foosball, cornhole, shuffleboard, giant chess. The list goes on and on. There's just so much extra stuff to do besides just chilling by the swimming pool. And if you don't want to be outside, there's also an arcade and a big casino on deck. So there are just so many options. So no matter what you want to do, there is just always some sort of option to be a little more active or to relax or to game or whatever floats your proverbial boat. Something that I had absolutely no idea about, but I loved, was the fact that Carnival gives away so much free stuff. Like, so much free stuff. You will have the opportunity throughout the week to come home with all sorts of free souvenirs, from artwork to jewelry to merch. It is crazy how much that they are just like throwing at their passengers. So the two big things are like raffles and then scavenger hunts, but sometimes they do just hand out free stuff for just literally showing up to an event. It's so much fun. So the big things that we found were with the raffles, the on-ship stores have at least one like pretty much every day. And so if you show up, particularly to the jewelry ones at the Effie jewelry, you will automatically receive one of their barrels of fun just for showing up. This is like a little charm. I wasn't super into this, but it was, you know, one more free thing they could throw at you. But they also had a raffle at every one of those events, and at least one person came away with like onboard credit or a free piece of jewelry. And so these are groups typically of like 20 to 30 people, so you have a pretty good chance of winning something there. We also attended one of the art auctions, and we were automatically entered into a raffle there, and we won a free piece of art that we are like actually really excited about. We still have to put it up, but we got to choose between a couple different pieces, and there was one that was perfect for our home, and we got it for free. Like, it's a giant piece of artwork. We're so excited to put it up, and we just got it from the raffle. Like, that was so much fun. They also had an art scavenger hunt, which was how we found out about the auction. And just for participating, they gave us a small piece of artwork. They were also just constantly running raffles at little massage expos, at Q&A sessions, at the family game shows, like all sorts of stuff. You could just attend and enter a raffle and get all sorts of different prizes. Again, a lot of times you won something just for showing up or participating too, so that's an incentive to get involved. They also had a free charm bracelet that they gave out, I think, once per day. You just had to stand in a line that was fairly long, but you could claim a free charm bracelet, and then throughout the week you could buy charms to put on it as well. So there's just so many opportunities to get stuff for free. On top of that, in Bimini and Nassau, they put together little scavenger hunts throughout the island where you could go to a store and tell them you were there for the scavenger hunt, and they would give you a free item, and then they would sign off on your scavenger hunt, and then if you completed it, you could drop that off at the Carnival Insider office to be automatically entered into another raffle. Now, I definitely feel like the scavenger hunt items were definitely geared more towards women. They were primarily charm bracelets and charms to go on them, but there was also a postcard in Bimini, and then in Nassau, we got a couple rings from Del Sol that change colors when they're in the sunlight. We got some stickers. Like, there was a little bit of variety in what we got, but most of what we got was charms and charm bracelets. But that's fine, because I loved that. Those were multiple free souvenirs for me that I can continue to enjoy. So I have no complaints, and it was fun to run around and collect all those little things and not have to pay for them. I also did not expect the food to be so absolutely delicious. Now, I will say not every meal was like a 10 out of 10, but for the number of meals that we ate and the number of people that these restaurants are serving at all hours of the day, I was very, very happy with the quality of the food we got on the ship. And not just the quality, but the diversity in the options. We had dinner every night in this sunset dining room, which is more of like a sit-down dinner experience. That's where we had our dedicated server, and the menu changed every night. Like a fully different menu of appetizers, entrees, desserts, sides, and most of them were absolutely delicious. There were a few things that were hit and miss, but I mean, Daniel got to try frog legs and lobster tail, both of which he said were phenomenal. I got a steak, which was kind of meh, but I also had like duck and lamb that were absolutely phenomenal. I would love to eat again. Their chocolate carnival lava cake was fantastic. We got creme brulee. There were just so many delicious and like high quality options. And for the most part, I loved just about everything I tried. I will definitely say like the buffet was lower quality, but you're always going to have that at a buffet, I feel like. So comparatively, like to the dining room experience, the buffet was lower, but the buffet was still fantastic, especially again, for one that's serving so many people, making so much food in bulk, it was so good. They had a pasta bar where they would let you make a like personalized pasta. You fill out the card with what you wanted and they would make it right then. So that was fantastic. You could do the same thing with like a pizza. There was so much that was just like customizable and made on the spot for you. And I really think that helped the quality be that much better too. On top of those all-inclusive options, they also have a couple restaurants where you can go in and pay for like a nicer meal as well. We went to Gigi's Asian, and that was legitimately one of the best meals I've ever had. And the cover fee for that, I believe, was $24 a person, which is insane. The quality and the amount of food we got was literally mind-blowing. I honestly think we would have paid like $100 for the amount of food and the quality of the food that we got at that restaurant. So again, that was just way beyond my expectations. Something else I wasn't prepared for was how much money you can spend once you're on board. You can definitely show up and not pay for anything else and you'll be fine, but there are a lot of opportunities to spend some extra money, and especially since you pay for everything on board with your sail and sign card, it can be easy to kind of lose track of how much you're spending until you get that final bill at the end of the week. Again, everything you need for the week is included, but there are a lot of wants that can be tempting, like alcoholic drinks or specialty coffees are extra. There's the casino and the arcade, which cost per play. There are spa treatments, excursions, souvenirs in the onboard shops. All of those things do have an additional fee. And while most of them are relatively well priced, they can add up. There are also other things that are just expensive. Shore excursions, spa treatments, those are very pricey. So booking just one of those can really skyrocket your bill pretty fast. So I wasn't quite ready for that personally. And if you are worried about, saving money, just be sure to set a budget and make sure you're keeping track of things throughout the day so that bill doesn't sneak up on you on the last day of your cruise. The very last thing that I was not ready for was just how quickly the port times fly by. We were able to stop in 3 different ports: Bimini, Nassau, and Freeport. And in my head, we were going to have this whole day there. And in reality, we only had a handful of hours at each port. And so if you do one excursion, you're going to be really limited on what else you can do with the rest of your time there. That port time goes by even faster because it can take a while to disembark because everyone's trying to get off at the same time. And there's only so many exits to get off the boat, and then you need to leave plenty of time to get back to the ship because it can take quite a while to get through security in some of the ports, and if you are late, they will leave you. So you don't want to be cutting it last minute, so you want to set aside a good buffer to get back on the boat too. That all just carves into your available time. So my advice would definitely be to pick 1 to 2 things max to do during your port days and just keep a really good eye on the time. In Bimini, we were able to do a 2.5-hour reef shark snorkeling tour. I have a video on that if you're interested. It was super cool, but that was also our longest port day and our shorter excursion. So we did have a decent bit of time afterwards to go back to the ship and shower and change, and then we did the scavenger hunt and the fisherman's village, but there wasn't a whole lot of extra stuff to do in Bimini. Versus Nassau, we booked like a 5-hour tour to swim with the pigs and go to this resort. I have a video on that as well. But by the time we got back to Nassau, we only had like an hour and a half before we were supposed to leave. And Nassau's this huge shopping center, which we weren't quite as interested in. Someone kind of compared it to like the Rodeo Drive of the Bahamas. It is a little more expensive, but we didn't really have time to poke around. So we kind of prioritized just hopping from shop to shop to do the scavenger hunt, pick up our free items, and then we stopped into a couple shops once we knew we'd gotten that done. But that ended up feeling very rushed because almost our entire day was at the excursion. and the Nassau security was the most difficult to get through. There's just so many ships, so many people, and then the boats were so much farther away than we thought they were. So that's definitely one where you need that extra time to get back to the boat on top of everything else. So just keep that in mind as you're planning your day. Be realistic about the time you have available. If there's something that's going to be a little more strict on time, like an excursion, make sure you do that at the beginning of the day so that you have that extra wiggle room at the end to make sure you're back on the ship. All right, guys, those are the 8 important things you need to know before you take a Carnival cruise. Hopefully this video was helpful for you and lets you be more prepared as you get ready to embark on your own Carnival Cruise adventure. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to drop those down below. I would especially love to hear if any of these were like a really big surprise to you too, or if it's just me. I also have a full written blog post about this on my website at cochranerunning.com. I'd encourage you to go check that out too, or maybe one of my other Carnival cruise guides, or just explore some of the other fun adventures and tips that I have on there to help make all of your travels easier. The last thing before you go, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with whoever you're going on your Carnival cruise with, and don't forget to save it so you can reference it later as well. And if you really enjoyed it and you want to see my face again, make sure you do hit that subscribe button so you can get videos from me in the future. Once again, thank you so much for stopping by, and I wish you many happy travels.